All right, ladies and gents, you know, we got the hat on, the Make Webinars Great Again hat on. You know, we're talking business, baby. And the topic of discussion today is why the traditional webinar funnel is dead and what has replaced it, right? This is a video I've been thinking about making for a while, okay? As someone who runs a company called Webinar Wizards, has people fucking call me the Webinar Wizard, right? Someone who does webinars, I have noticed a massive shift, okay? And that is that the webinar funnel, as we traditionally know it, the essence of selling one-to-many that made your Russell Brunsons, your Ty Lopez's, your Sam Ovens, and your Alex Beckers famously rich it's not dead, okay? But unless your name is Alex Hormozy or Iman Gadzi, or you have a massive, massive audience to shill a 997 product to, it's not looking good, okay? And I should know because I run a company that literally only does webinars for a living. We are called Webinar Wizards because we only do fucking webinars, right? And what I have found with what I'm going to be referring to in this video is the traditional model of doing webinars where we're cramming 400 people in a room to 1,000 people in a room. We're pitching them a 997 with a course and a fake countdown, hoping that 5 to 10% of them pull out their credit cards, right? It's not effective anymore. And a lot of people like to say in the industry, like, oh, the market is changing, or buyers are getting more skeptical, or offers are getting more saturated. But it is actually fucking true. Like, if you actually run one of these businesses and you're speaking to people, you know it's fucking true, okay? Which is why over the past year, despite being a company that only offers webinar funnels, like I've said it again, that's literally what we do, we have recently pretty much abandoned, right, the traditional webinar and one-to-many playbook. And as of right now, we are only giving clients and doing this, which is what we call the one-to-many to one methodology, which is almost like a hybrid funnel, which gets all the benefits of a webinars, of webinars, not of a webinars, of webinars with all the benefits of core funnels without any of the downside, okay? If you haven't met me or watched any of my videos before, my name is Charlie McCormack. I'm the founder of Webinar Wizards. We've done over $1 million cash collected in info coaching and direct response. I was a direct response copywriter. I learned funnels. I went all in on webinars. I was building like core funnels, low ticket funnels and everything. I went all in on webinars because I thought they were the best kind of funnel for the clients I had at the time. I realized that the old way of doing webinars doesn't really work for the majority of offers. And the majority of that mill has come from what I'm calling one-to-many core funnels, or otherwise known as the new way of doing webinars. If you want proof that we're actually fucking good at what we say we do, just go to webinarwizards.com. First link in the description. There's a bunch of videos on there, a bunch of stuff to talk about. So what we're going to talk about in this video is why I believe that the traditional webinar model is dead and why I believe it's actually hurting more businesses than it's actually helping. The one-to-many to one methodology that's replaced it and how it's getting us insane results, and how you can implement this new one-to-many to one model for yourself or for your clients' businesses and generate, which is what we're doing for most of our clients at the moment, 75% to 85% of our clients' monthly revenue with 2 hours a month. When you actually think about that, 2 hours a fucking month, okay? Lock the fuck in. So if you already have an existing webinar funnel or a call funnel, we're not going to require you to massively overhaul what you're doing right now. And in fact, you can actually run this hybrid funnel alongside your core funnel and see massive gain from doing so. Just for some proof as well. It's all on the website anyway, but we've done this for Aston Haslam. I'll give you a done for you example, a done with you example. We've done 185 grand from 2 webinars with only 276 attendees combined on both of those webinars. That 185k is going up as I record this video because we did a webinar the other day. We still have 11 calls left and the close rate has been phenomenal. Lyria Pert, Faces Launchpad, done with you client, did 130k from his first webinar, invoiced his client 26k of that from the webinar, which was a fraction, like a fucking fraction of what he paid us for consulting. And Louis a G as well. So before I get into the video, I write like all this stuff on my Substack before I make videos about it because I'm a writer first and foremost before a YouTuber. So let's get into it. Okay, so why the old webinar model is flawed and why I believe it's doing more harm than good, okay? The traditional webinar model that everyone is still talking about, the one-to-many model, is absolutely fucked, okay? Because the idea of selling directly in the traditional one-to-many format has to adapt to change with the times, okay? And here are just some bullet point reasons that I voice noted and then just put into this video, right? The audience isn't stupid, but when you're selling directly using all these scarcity and urgency tactics or acting like they are, okay, the market is way, way, way more sophisticated now. And almost every single person in your audience, if you're selling like a BizOp or, even if you're selling anything, they all know what a webinar is. They've all seen the like expired in 30 minutes. They've all seen the fucking perfect webinar framework. They've all seen the Jason Flabian, and the choice that you have now is either to go down this path and do it with me and go alone. But what if there was another option, right? Everyone's fucking seen it, okay? But everyone's still doing it for some reason. And people are saying like, oh, the ads aren't working, the ROAS isn't working, right? I spoke to a woman the other day who ran a career coaching offer, right? So she helps people like transition out of their career, something like that. She was down in London and she was telling me that she had tried everything to get her webinars to work, right? Ramping up ad spend, like optimizing the lander so the opt-in page was, even better, but the economics of it wasn't working anymore. And she was telling me, she was a little bit older than me, I'm only 21, but she was reminiscing about the good old days of webinars and how fantastic it was. And one of the big reasons for this, which I'm going to get into later, is the economics of the old funnel compared to actually booking in calls for a high ticket, okay? You're basically forced to make money, right? You have to, like, if you are running like a big monthly webinar, your whole month depends on converting people in that 90 minutes, right? So you get desperate, you stop answering questions, you're scared of giving too much away. And this actually, you start pushing really hard with the old model, right? Because when you're going direct to cart, you have to make the money there and then. No one really buys from the follow-up emails, right? And the whole point of the old model is to extract as much money as you can from the audience before they get off the call, right? And it's literally a gambling addiction, right? Because if you're putting all your chips in on this, direct to cart webinar and expecting that you need to make a fuck ton of money, right? It's like a football match, it's like a football final, right? You got 90 minutes to either win or you lose. And if your webinar does not convert that week, you've burned a lot of your best sales material and you didn't make any money, and you can't really follow up after that if no one bought then. Like, obviously you can follow up, but they've all already seen the offer. They know how much it is. And it's just difficult, right? And then one of the biggest things about the old webinar model, which I really don't like, is that you're forced to sell subpar offers rather than your best ones, okay? So because people aren't going to pay, like I hope that hopefully you might have a 5K offer, an 8K offer, a 10K offer, maybe a 15K offer, a higher ticket offer, right? That is your best offer. It's where people get the best level of support. It's what people actually want. There's a reason the offer is worth a lot. It's because it's the offer that people actually want. But with the traditional model, you have to sell something like pretty much below like 2.5K USD, right? Or else people just aren't going to go direct to cart on it, like typically, okay? I'm not saying they don't, but I'm saying typically they won't. So it forces you to show the audience like an offer that isn't as good as your better offer is, because you're trying to like optimize for everyone when you make way more money. Like imagine you're selling a 997 versus 10K. You literally have to sell 10 times more people to make the exact same amount of money, right? And a lot of the time as well is when you're using all these fear, these scarcity tactics and stuff, right? You're attracting bad customers. They're just going to fucking charge back, or they're going to hustle your customer success manager. And all of this is coming from someone who does webinars for a living, okay? So what we have been going all in on, which we are calling the new way of doing webinars, okay? The one-to-many to one methodology, right? Like I said earlier, it's a hybrid, okay? And by just making a few simple changes in positioning, okay? Same webinar, same content, same everything. We're selling higher ticket offers, okay? We're using the amazing benefits of a call funnel, right? Because most people already have their call funnel dialed in. We preserve way more goodwill and trust. There's way more longevity in doing it this way. And there's a lot more reasons, right? But the main one for us, right, for in terms of actually making clients money, is that the economics of high ticket are significantly better, especially when we're running ads, right? So let's have a look at the average conversion rates. And these are industry standard, by the way. I've not manipulated these numbers. You can go and ask anyone what the average like book a call application rate is for webinars, right? And they will all fucking tell you that these are the numbers, okay? 1,000 people registered, okay? 40% show rate. On the old traditional way, 5 to 15% is industry standard, right? Maybe if you're doing it in person, you might get 30 if you're a gangster, right? So we're talking 20 to 60 sales, right? Depending on whether it's 5 or 10%. At a 997 price, we're talking 20K USD to 60K USD. If we're talking 60K USD from 1,000 people, we're talking good metrics, right? But then when we're doing the high ticket presentations, okay, which is what we're calling it now, and we're doing high ticket presentations, workshops, webinars, whatever you want to call it, right? We're getting the same 1,000 people, the same webinar, the same show rate, 400 people. But this time, 20 to 40% of the people will apply at the end because the offer significantly has more desire because it's a better offer. Of the applicants, 10 to 30% of the room will be immediately qualified to book a call. So we now have 40 to 120 booked calls on your calendar or your reps' calendars, right? Who all have the dough, who've all watched the webinar, right? The show rate is even better than your call funnel show rate because people have more intent because they've actually watched a webinar. Let's say your close rate is usually 50%. You can tag on an extra 10%, but I've kept it conservative, right? Industry standard close rate, 30%. Let's tag 10 on because they've watched a webinar, not 2 minutes of a VSL. We're immediately talking 65K to 190K, okay? So that is what we've been doing instead. And that's not including upsells, downsells, financing, or anything like that. We're immediately getting a 3x lift simply by just changing the offer. And we're also talking significantly less customers, all paying more money. So we've flipped what the presentation is actually for, okay? We're positioning them as attraction mechanisms, right? Workshops, presentations, free trainings, pop-up events, everything like that, because webinars have a slimy connotation now, right? And the entire energy shifts where rather than pitching, you're attracting, you're letting people put their hand up and say, you know what? I want to book a call. I want that rather than forcing people to buy. Like we've just seen, the economics of high ticket is fucking insane. You're working with less people, making more money, and not also being like a sleazy scumbag just trying to pitch people on webinars, right? And the best part about it is this, your higher ticket offer is the best offer. It's got the highest level of support. It's probably got the best guarantees, probably the most comprehensive solution. So why are we hiding it behind a watered down like 997 course, right? And again, the math here will blow your mind. Also, the people who actually come on here are better customers because they're more committed. Think about it. They've had to sign up. They've had to show up. They've had to fucking book a call, show to the call, and pay 5 steps of commitment. What do you think your customers are going to look like after 5 steps of commitment rather than just like Facebook ad and buy? Way, way, way better, okay? And this is also a big one for us as done for you service providers, is that we can actually run these regularly without annoying people, right? Because we're not burning relationships with every presentation. We're not pitching direct to cart every single time. We can do these monthly or every few weeks, right? Because we're actually giving the audience value and then just saying at the end, like, come and book a call, which actually worked way, way, way better, okay? Your sales team are going to be gassed because we're booking them in a fuck ton of qualified calls. You can even put their closer percentage down. Some of our clients actually do. You say premium without looking like a desperate course creator, right? You're maintaining your frame. You're saying, come to me. They come to the webinar and then they book in themselves. We're not forcing them to do anything. You are positioning yourself as premium, right? And also, the flexibility on calls is way, way, way better. Like, think about on a traditional webinar, right? You got to pitch one offer with one guarantee, right? At one price point. Maybe you can split it down into financing, right? But on a sales call, you got reps giving people payment plans. You can upsell them, downsell them. You can get them on custom offers to cash collect more per person, right? Higher ROAS, everything like that, right? So you have way more flexibility doing this rather than being stuck and deciding on having to try and sell someone something that you pitched 3 weeks ago. If you do a book a call, you can follow up with someone 3 weeks later and sell them anything on the phone. But they've seen the best offer, okay? The difference in the quality of leads is way better than your call funnel because people aren't watching a 5-minute VSL, they're watching 90 minutes at least of a webinar, and people actually feel good during the experience, okay? Because we're not using sales tactics on them. People in the Q&As are actually still engaging. They're still happy. People come off and they post it on their story and they're like, amazing call. You keep people nurtured and they'll actually come back to you in a few months. Even if they don't buy then, they will buy later because you didn't burn the bridge with the traditional webinar pitch. So we're combining the best of both worlds. And kind of my kind of checklist for this is stop positioning it as a webinar. Not many people do this anyway, but actually give a shit about providing value as well, because you can. You're not focusing on actually getting people buying. We want people to leave and think, wow, like flex on people. Leave them thinking, fucking hell, these guys actually know what they're talking about. Or girls, if you're watching this, right? Because we're not putting all our chips on black and convincing people to buy in this 90-minute period. We're demonstrating that we actually know our shit and creating a genuine desire for more, not pulling our punches because we know we're selling a subpar offer, right? We're always doing them live rather than automated, especially if you have an organic audience, right? Because your audience is just going to be like, that ain't live. Okay, maybe this is just limiting belief, but live's okay. No, in fact, it's fucking not a limiting belief, right? Because all the data shows that live converts better than automated, right? So why would you not just do it live? Why would you not just do it live? If it converts like, even if it's like, I say automated, you're doing 2.6, live, you do 4.6, it's double. Okay, why would you not just do it live? Just do it live. It's 2 hours, right? And then we're also filtering people properly to keep it premium position and make sure that we're getting the right customers, okay? So what we're doing, Typeform filters people. Highest qualified prospects with budget and intent get to book a call immediately in the next few days. Medium priority, they get to book a call the next few days. People who like, they're kind of like a bit iffy, setters, payment plans, downsells, cheaper alternatives, right? You can still sell all of your offers, but it's just not the front end offer. And because we're actually not selling direct to cart on these webinars and we're not pissing people off, we can run these like clockwork. We do this every single month for clients, right? And we've seen no drop off. No drop off. When we used to do direct to cart, people wouldn't join the next one. When we do book a call and we position it as premium with the new webinar model, people join every single time because they're actually interested in what we have to say. And then they make their buying decision because it's in their hands. 90 minutes for presentation, 30 minutes for Q&A. That is literally it. And this works whether you have 500 followers or 50,000 followers or 500,000 followers, right? Because if you have a small audience, we've been doing like intimate workshops, really interacting with the few people in there. We've done 6-figure events from 150 people in the room because the personal connection is there. Okay, the math is still there with these high ticket offers. If you're selling something for 8K, you're still going to end up doing like a bunch of fucking dough on these webinars, right? Even if you've only got 150 people in the room. Big audience, you can book out teams of like, we've booked out teams of like 4 closers all week with qualified prospects. And the closers love it, okay? And each month gets easier and easier because we're growing the list. People are coming back. We have content we can repurpose. We have angles. We have immediate feedback from the calls that we're taking in bulk to know what's working and what's not. New case studies. And it's so good. It's so good. Honestly, I would say it because we're doing it, okay? But it's so good. We've changed clients' businesses by doing this. Once a month, one-to-many to one attraction events. And you can keep doing this alongside whatever you're already doing. So if you have a call funnel, keep running it. Keep posting content. Keep doing whatever's working, right? And we were almost positioning this as, add this monthly workshop, add this monthly one-to-many to one as a predictable revenue spike. And it's the closest thing that you can get to high ticket MRR because you know that on the first week of every month, if you were to do it on the first week of every month, you're going to see 60 to 80% of your entire monthly revenue coming the first week after doing this, right? And the rest just comes from call funnel, existing systems. It's the closest thing to high ticket recurring revenue that you can get without actually doing MRR, okay? It's just the model, right? And this is why we haven't abandoned webinars, right? We're actually doing them better than they were actually working before, right? Because the old model is broken. It's from a simpler time, right? It's just ad cost for cheaper info was easier, right? The solution is not to abandon webinars altogether. It's to evolve outside the outdated methods and use the one-to-many to one methodology that gets us even better results. And if you actually look at the people who are printing with webinars right now, like all the people you watch on YouTube, right? Maybe other than Iman and Hormozy, they're all booking calls off their webinars. They're doing the one-to-many to one approach, right? And this new model that we're implementing for our clients, right? All of our clients this was last week actually, because I made a doc last week. We took 15 calls on one offer and we already did 37K GBP, okay? 47K rev, and the other, we still have 15 to go, right? We're cooking with this, right? If you want us to build us a plan for this, link in the description. I'm not even going to go through this with you because I just want you guys to just listen to me and show that this is the new way of doing it. This is the new way of doing it, and you must adapt. Okay, the traditional webinar funnel is dying. You need to embrace one-to-many to one. Okay, you want us to do it for you. You know where we are. If you don't, go along your way. Watch the other YouTube videos. If you want a plan, we'll build you a plan. Okay, love you lots. Fucking pay attention to this, because this is how people are printing with webinars right now. Love you lots.